What if the quietest person in the room isn't weak, but actually holding the most profound power? In our loud, performative world, silence has been tragically misunderstood as emptiness, when it's actually a reservoir of deep observation and strategic awareness. Picture this: you're sitting in a crowded cafe, listening intently while others compete for conversational airtime. While they're talking over each other, you're absorbing nuances, the slight tension in someone's voice, the unspoken dynamics between colleagues, the subtle emotional currents that most people miss completely. Have you ever noticed how the world constantly tells quiet people they need to speak up, be more assertive, take up more space? But the truth is, your silence isn't a void, it's a carefully curated space of understanding. As Susan Cain revealed in her groundbreaking work on introversion, quiet observation isn't just a personality trait, it's a sophisticated form of intelligence. Your quietness isn't something to fix, it's a superpower waiting to be recognized. What if the quietest person in the room is actually the most powerful observer? While everyone else is busy talking, you're collecting an entire landscape of unspoken information, subtle shifts in facial expressions, the tension beneath polite conversation, the micro-movements that reveal what words conceal. Imagine a recent gathering where three people loudly debate, their voices cascading over each other. But you're noticing the person in the corner whose brilliant idea just got steamrolled, the slight defensive posture of someone feeling uncomfortable, the precise moment the room's energy subtly changes. Your silence isn't passive, it's a sophisticated radar. Researchers like Elaine Aron, who studied highly sensitive people, recognize this as an extraordinary cognitive skill. They tell you that being quiet means you're weak, but the truth is you're an emotional antenna, picking up nuanced signals others completely miss. You're not just observing, you're processing entire ecosystems of human interaction in real time. Your quiet observation is a profound superpower, seeing what others overlook, understanding what remains unspoken, holding space for complexity when everyone else demands simplicity. What if your quietness is actually a sophisticated emotional radar, fine-tuned to detect the subtlest human frequencies that others completely miss? In that crowded conference room, while everyone else is talking over each other, you're reading the unspoken landscape. The slight tension in a colleague's shoulders, the micro-expression of frustration crossing a manager's face, the nervous energy beneath someone's forced laugh, you're capturing entire emotional ecosystems in a single glance. Daniel Goleman's groundbreaking work on emotional intelligence reveals something quiet people inherently understand. True connection happens beneath words. Your silence isn't passive, it's an active form of empathy. You're creating psychological safety simply by being present, holding space, without demanding attention. Imagine being the person someone seeks out not because you talk the most, but because when you listen, they feel truly seen. They tell you silence is weakness, but the truth is your quiet observation is a profound emotional superpower. You don't just hear conversations, you understand the intricate emotional currents flowing underneath. Your quietness isn't empty. It's a reservoir of deep, nuanced understanding, a gentle, powerful way of being that transforms every room you enter. Imagine walking into a room where your quietness is immediately interpreted as a deficit, where being soft-spoken somehow means being less capable. This is the extrovert bias that permeates our culture, a loud misconception that values volume over depth. They tell you that to succeed, you must dominate conversations, that leadership sounds like constant talking. But the truth is, some of the most profound leaders throughout history have been quiet observers who listened more than they spoke. Susan Cain's groundbreaking work reveals something powerful. Quiet individuals often see organizational landscapes with remarkable clarity. While others are performing, you're strategically understanding, mapping interpersonal dynamics, sensing unspoken tensions, recognizing potential that screams silently. What if your quietness isn't a weakness, but a sophisticated communication strategy? Have you ever noticed how the most respected person in a meeting isn't always the loudest, but the one whose words carry genuine weight? Your silence isn't empty, it's a deliberate, intelligent choice. It's about recognizing that not every moment requires your voice, and that true influence often emerges from thoughtful observation, not constant noise. What if the number of your friends isn't what matters, but the depth of connection you cultivate? In my research studying quiet individuals, I've discovered something profound. Quiet people don't collect relationships, they curate them. Imagine sitting in a crowded cafe, surrounded by dozens of people, yet deliberately choosing to engage with only one, the friend who sees your unspoken thoughts, who understands the weight of your silence. While others are frantically collecting social media connections, you're investing in relationships that nourish your soul. In The Introvert Advantage, Marty Olson Laney reveals that quiet individuals often form relationships not through quantity, but through exceptional quality. They're not interested in surface-level interactions. They want conversations that reveal genuine human complexity. They tell you social success means knowing everyone, but the truth is social success means truly knowing someone. Your selective engagement isn't antisocial, it's strategic. You're not avoiding connection, you're being intentional about where you invest your emotional energy. Have you noticed how the most meaningful conversations often happen in whispers, not shouts? That's the quiet person's superpower, creating intimacy through careful, considered connection. Your brain isn't just a machine, it's an intricate landscape where thoughts weave complex patterns, especially when you process slowly and deeply. While others rush to fill silence, you're mapping entire ecosystems of understanding. In Daniel Kahneman's groundbreaking work on cognitive processing, he reveals something profound. Fast thinking isn't always better thinking. Imagine a chess master who sees the entire board while everyone else is moving random pieces. That's your quiet mind at work. What if your slower processing isn't a handicap, but a sophisticated neural advantage? They tell you quick responses matter most, but the truth is innovation emerges in those quiet moments between thoughts, where connections spark and insights bloom. Have you ever solved a problem hours after everyone stopped discussing it? That's not coincidence. Your brain is performing deep background work, filtering, connecting, synthesizing. While loud conversations scatter attention, your mind is carefully assembling nuanced understanding. Your quietness isn't empty space. It's a rich internal environment where complex ideas take root, where creativity flourishes in stillness, and where the most transformative thoughts are carefully cultivated before they ever reach the surface. What if your silence could become your most powerful communication tool? In the world of conversation, most people are playing chess by moving every piece, while you're strategically positioning just one. Picture this, you're in a tense team meeting where arguments are escalating. Everyone's talking over each other, voices rising, tension building. Then you speak, three carefully chosen words that instantly reframe the entire conversation. The room goes quiet. That's not luck. That's the strategic power of selective communication. Authors like Patterson, in Crucial Conversations, understand this fundamental truth. Sometimes, saying less creates more impact. When you choose your moments, your words carry extraordinary weight. They're not just sounds filling empty space, but precise instruments of insight and influence. What happens when you transform silence from a perceived weakness into a deliberate communication strategy? You become the person whose words people lean in to hear, whose observations cut through noise, whose presence creates a gravitational pull of attention. Your quietness isn't passive, it's a sophisticated form of engagement. You're not avoiding communication, you're mastering its most nuanced art. In a world drowning in constant chatter, your strategic silence becomes your signature strength. Have you ever noticed how navigating social spaces feels like an unwritten dance when you're naturally quiet? They tell you to be more outgoing, to fill every silence. But the truth is, your authentic communication style is not a weakness to correct, but a strength to honor. Imagine sitting in a crowded coffee shop, absorbing the subtle conversations around you. While others compete to be heard, you're collecting insights, reading the room's emotional temperature. Susan Cain's work on quiet power reminds us that these moments of observation are where true understanding happens. Setting boundaries isn't about building walls, it's about creating intentional spaces where you can be fully present. Your energy is precious, and learning to manage it in group settings means recognizing when to engage and when to retreat. You're not antisocial, you're selectively social, choosing depth over constant noise. What if your quietness is actually a form of radical self-compassion? By honoring your natural communication style, you're giving yourself permission to exist exactly as you are. No apologies, no performances, just authentic presence. Have you ever wondered how your quietness might be perceived differently across the globe? In some cultures, silence isn't just a communication style, it's a profound form of wisdom and respect. Imagine a traditional Japanese business meeting where the quietest person in the room is often the most revered. While Western cultures tend to equate volume with importance, many Eastern and indigenous cultures see deep listening as the highest form of intelligence. They tell you that speaking is power, but the truth is that true understanding comes from creating space for others to be heard. In collectivist societies, your quiet observation isn't a weakness, it's a superpower of social navigation. You're not just listening, you're reading the entire emotional ecosystem of the room. According to Erin Mayer's groundbreaking work exploring global communication styles, what might seem like awkward silence in one culture is actually a sign of deep contemplation and respect in another. What if your quietness is a universal language that transcends cultural boundaries? A quiet person doesn't just hear words, they hear the unspoken stories, the subtle rhythms of human connection that exist far beyond sound. What if navigating social spaces isn't about becoming louder, but about becoming more strategically quiet? Imagine walking into a networking event with a book like Networking for People Who Hate Networking as your secret weapon, not to change who you are, but to amplify your natural strengths. Take the conference room where three people are competing to speak the loudest. While they're battling for airtime, you're observing. You see the unspoken dynamics, catch the micro-expressions, notice who's genuinely engaged and who's performing. They tell you networking requires constant chatter, but the truth is your strategic silence is your most powerful communication tool. Have you ever realized that your quietness isn't a limitation, but a precision instrument? For quiet individuals, communication isn't about filling space, it's about creating meaningful connection. This means choosing when to speak, knowing exactly what to say, and understanding that your thoughtful pause carries more weight than someone else's rapid-fire monologue. Your quietness is a professional superpower. You listen completely, process deeply, and respond with intention. In a world of noise, you're the signal, clear, focused, and remarkably effective. Imagine standing in a room full of loud voices, and instead of feeling inadequate, you recognize your quiet nature as a profound gift. Brené Brown's work on vulnerability reminds us that true strength isn't about volume, it's about authenticity. What if your quietness isn't a flaw to be fixed, but a unique lens through which you experience the world? You've spent years hearing that you should speak up more, be more assertive, take up more space. But what if your power lies precisely in your ability to listen, observe, and choose your moments with surgical precision? They tell you quietness means weakness, but the truth is, your silence is a deliberate, powerful strategy. Picture this: during a heated team meeting, while others interrupt and compete, you're the one absorbing every nuance. You see the unexpressed tensions, the unspoken dynamics, the subtle shifts in energy that everyone else misses. In that moment, your quietness isn't just a characteristic, it's your superpower. Embracing your quiet nature means recognizing that your depth is not defined by the number of words you speak, but by the intentionality behind each one. You are not empty, you are selectively full. What if your quietness is actually a revolutionary act? Picture the last time you sat in a room full of noise, absorbing every subtle interaction, every unspoken tension, while everyone else was busy performing. The world tells you that speaking louder means being more powerful, but the truth is, your quiet observation is a form of profound social intelligence. Researchers like Jennifer Kahnweiler have shown that quiet individuals often wield extraordinary influence through strategic listening and thoughtful intervention. Have you ever realized that creating change doesn't always require the most words, but the most meaningful ones? Your revolution isn't about becoming someone else. It's about transforming how we understand human communication. It's about recognizing that depth isn't measured by volume, but by the intentional space you create. You're not just surviving in social spaces, you're reimagining them. Every time you choose observation over unnecessary chatter, you're challenging a culture that mistakes noise for substance. Your quietness isn't a limitation, it's a deliberate, powerful choice to engage more authentically. This is your quiet revolution, honoring your natural communication style, valuing your inner world, and showing that true influence flows from understanding, not volume.